So first of all, what is acceleration? Quite literally, if you imagine yourself being on a path, or perhaps a trajectory, a field of probabilities which exists within your unique theme, your unique angle on life, right? Which is, again, it's your life. Your life is a unique angle on existence, on creation, expanding upon expressing the infinite, which is the one, the absolute one, the one that is the source of all that is created, has a source. Everything that is has a source. All of you, all of us have one source. That one source is even beyond energy. It's beyond presence. It's beyond experiences. It's even beyond consciousness. Consciousness or awareness is its first principle, its free agent, its first expression. Pure awareness is the infinite one in actionable form, in workable form. It's the free agent, the absolute free agent of the one, the mediator between the one and its expression into form, its experiences, its creation. So there's the one, there's creation, and as the mediator, there's this infinite intelligence, which we could call awareness or consciousness. Just very briefly. You are embodying as a consciousness, as a co-creator, as a portion of the all that is consciousness. You are taking on a certain portion of this particular collective. You are taking on a certain theme, a certain angle on life. Your life literally is an angle on existence. You have your own angle on existence. You have your own expression of existence to explore, to learn from, to express. It is your honor, it is your duty, it is your desire to express infinity in the unique way that you are you. Does that make sense? It's very simple, right? Your life is a unique expression or a theme of the all that is consciousness or the free agent of unity wanting to express infinity to the best of its ability in expression, in experience. Your life is such a portion of that, very unique, very valuable, very crucial to the all that isness of existence, to the every possible way in which infinity can express itself. So then, as you have a theme, you have a field of probabilities, you have a trajectory, a particular spectrum within which it is most likely that your experiences will take place. A certain frequency range, as I call it sometimes. It's a range of frequencies within which you have total free will, total freedom to choose how to navigate, how to respond to life, how to create your life. But since you do have a theme, since you, from a higher point of view, do have a desire to express in a certain specific way, you're not just all over the place. Your body doesn't change form all the time. You're not changing, jumping timelines and, well, you are in a sense, but I'll get to that in a bit. But you're not, you're not suddenly in China and then suddenly in Africa doing all these different things and then suddenly on a different planet in different form. There is some kind of linearity, there's some kind of progression, some kind of a linear storyline, a theme that is relevant for you, that you have chosen to express yourself through. Does that make sense? So even though everything is possible at any given moment, not everything is probable. Not everything is relevant for your particular unique angle on existence, your creative expression of the one. So within that particular frequency range, which we could call your theme, you are going to explore with freedom at the heart of your expression, free will at the heart of your expression, free choice, how you respond, how you experience things, how you interpret them, what ways you want to go about living your life. And so what is acceleration then? Acceleration is simply the idea that you speed up that exploration, meaning that you become more effective at extracting benefit from every single one of your experiences. And that the challenging experiences, whether they become physical or are just offered to the mental complex of your being, the catalyst, as I call that, the challenging experiences, the symbols that represent, hey, let me check in with myself, something's going on, or something can be learned from this. Or just challenge in general, again, whether physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual challenge. Those challenges I like to call catalysts. They are catalysts for beneficial experiences being extracted from that. Beneficial experience, learning experience being extracted from those representations, from those symbols, from those creations, from those manifestations. Does that make sense so far? Right? So we create challenging experiences to make ourselves more self-aware, more aware of who we are, why we're here, what's important to us, what is our core preference, our core frequency, our core orientation, and what is not. And how can we learn the lessons of unconditional love, and yet at the same time the specificity of the wisdom of knowing who it is you are and what resonates for you and what doesn't, etc. In other words, Catalyst is what we create to provide ourselves with this high-octane platform to learn from, constantly to reflect upon, right? The more effective use we make of this life, the more we accelerate that progression of our theme. So within, let's say, you're bound to be 80 years old in this life. In those 80 years, you can either learn this much or you can learn this much. Does that make sense? You can extract this amount of benefit, this amount of conscious evolution out of that same trajectory, or you can advance that trajectory past its even intended, perhaps, or expected level of benefit, its degree of beneficial extraction of experience and learning, by making unexpected, effective use of this catalyst. And so one way to course through life very swiftly is to not wait ever again. To make the most effective use of catalyst, one means to that end. One means to live in that way. One means to keep advancing your theme, which also makes it more expansive usually, more joyful, more blissful, more in tune with who you really are. In other words, you get to higher and higher levels of refinement in terms of who you know yourself to be, the clarity with which you consciously know yourself to be, the clarity with which you know the universe to be inseparable from yourself and you to be inseparable from all that is, and the clarity with which you manifest the trail or the circumstances in your life to reflect your heart's desire to express itself, your heart's desire to learn even greater degrees of love, unconditional love and light and joy and bliss and sharing. Does that make sense so far? Somewhat, to some extent? Okay, good. So, one really good way to accelerate, and I encourage you for the next week, if it resonates, if this is where you feel like this could be relevant for you at this timing, to try not to wait, or not to try not to wait, because trying is a form of waiting, but to simply not wait. To not wait for anything. What does that imply? What do I mean by that? Not wait. I mean that you catch yourself every time you're waiting for something. Whatever that is. Whether that is somebody that is 10 minutes late to an appointment and you're just standing there waiting. That's the obvious example, right? And instead of waiting then, do something else that you wanted to do that day that you can do on your phone. Or go to the grocery store instead. Or check in, are you 10 minutes away or 20 minutes away? If you're 20 minutes away, I'm going to get a sandwich or whatever it is. Just to not be in the energy of waiting. Or you can just stand there and seemingly be waiting for those 10, 15 minutes until that person arrives. But you're not waiting because what you're doing is you're doing something spiritually oriented, something inwardly focused, something that has to do with appreciating everything that passes by, all the bypassers, all the people on the street, and recognizing that they are the one infinite creator, and recognizing how oblivious they are to that, which makes it even more beautiful and more mysterious and more fun. And to recognize the unity of it all, or to recognize that you really, really love people, or to recognize that you really, really want to forgive yourself, or to whatever it is that resonates for you, that you feel you could use a dosage of, that would amp you up, that would speed you up, that would accelerate your benefit extraction out of your theme in that moment. Go ahead and do that. Don't wait. That's just a thought. Oh, they're 10 minutes late. Now what do I do? Well, there is tons of things you could be doing, whether physical or non-physical. Does that make sense? This is a very simple, obvious example. But as you start practicing this, you'll see that it applies to much subtler things in life. And you can always apply this in different ways. Another example is where we tend to wait for our circumstances to change, to start doing what we actually love to be doing, right? That which connects us, that which plugs us into the motherboard of all that is, of existence itself. That which plugs us into that source energy of ourselves. That which plugs us into our higher self accelerative stream in life. Those things, those activities, those thought forms, those intentions, those conscious applications, realizations, contemplations, meditations, etc. Or any other act, even physical acts, like going to the grocery store and getting what you want to get. From that all the way to recognizing that all is the one and the one is all. And anything in between, anything that gives you passion, anything that plugs you in, anything that gives you inspiration, should not be waited for. Nothing else should be waited for before you do these things. And see how often you tend to wait. Oh no, I'll wait with that. I'll wait until this person arrives. I'll wait until this comes around. I'll wait until I have a little more money. How can you do the things that you project you desire to do to the best of your present ability, to the best of your present means? How can you get closest to that expression now, today, even if you do not have that $1 million that you seemingly need to start that community you want to start, or whatever it is? Doesn't matter. You start acting on that to the best of your ability, because here's the thing, that $1 million will not get to you if you do not get to it. And the way to get to that $1 million, which you need to actually establish the community that you desire, the way to get there is to get there. And how do you get there? By not waiting. If you wait, it keeps waiting for you. And so it just remains this fun idea that never becomes fully manifest, because you keep waiting for it to arrive in order for you to do what you love to do. Does that make sense? So stop waiting. The sooner these things that you project you need or desire in the future to really be who you want to be will just follow you. They will warp around you. That's the image I have of it. The energetic image I have of it is, instead of waiting and seeing my circumstances out there as random things that I can utilize or not, or that can come to me or not come to me, when I just do what I want to do, when I express myself in the way I want to express myself, when I don't wait for life, when I act on that breadcrumb trail of excitement, moment to moment to moment, this is most joyful now, this is most joyful now. Oh, let me meditate on the one for a second, that's most joyful now. Oh, let me get that sandwich, let me get some toilet paper and bulk up for 3 months because that seems exciting. Makes me feel good. Ah, great. Glad I don't have to get toilet paper for the next 3 months. So you see, I'm saying these silly examples because it can be anything that makes you feel good about yourself in that moment. Anything that makes you feel connected to yourself. Anything that makes you feel crystal clear and crisp and awake and alive and to the point and in the moment and in your stream of acceleration, of speeding up your theme, of extracting benefit, of being alert, of being responsive, of being here, being peacefully centered, and yet at the same time able to move as fast as you need to move. So don't wait. When you wait, life waits for you, but life is waiting for you all this time, even though you're waiting for life. So this creates this perpetual loop of both of you are waiting for each other. Life is like, come on, dude, and you're like, come on, dude. It doesn't work that way. Somebody has to take action, and it's not going to be your circumstances. It's going to have to be you. Because circumstances don't have free will. Circumstances don't have consciousness. You have consciousness. You have your state of being. You are made of vibratory consciousness. So when you take action, even when you make decisions, that's the most powerful portion of action. Action follows from that. But when you are in a constantly decisive mode of being, and you flow effortlessly with integrity and love and appreciation, yet doing what you love to do to the best of your ability, when you keep dancing like that, when you keep surfing like that, circumstances, instead of being these objects out there, these projections into the future that surround you, this whole field of circumstances starts to warp behind you, like you're passing through the barrier of the sound barrier. And suddenly, boom, there is this support behind you, this trail, this slipstream that works both ways. You leave a slipstream for others to more effortlessly glide with you, but also it creates an effortless space that thrusts you forward. Does that make sense? So when you take action regardless of circumstance, circumstance will follow you and thrust you forward. It will support you. It will be like, yes, thank you. Finally, you made that decision. You took action. You weren't in a state of flux the whole time. Because when you are in a state of flux, in a state of indecision, in a state of waiting, guess what your circumstances will do? They will reflect that. Circumstances quite literally are just smoke and mirrors. Smoke because they're empty, and mirrors because they reflect you. Smoke because they're insubstantial. They don't have substance of their own. They don't have consciousness or will or intention of their own. They're not against you or for you. They're just supporting you. They're just reflecting you. They're empty like smoke. You can grasp through them and find that there's nothing actually there. And they're mirrors because they reflect your state of being, your level of decisiveness, your level of interest in your own life. How interested are you in your own life? How interested are you in your own theme, expressing itself, expanding itself, and coming to fruition in new and beautiful ways? How excited are you for that? Because your level of interest, your response to the question I just asked, is representative of the mediocrity that you find in your life. If you want your life to be as exciting as mine, or even more exciting, because it's unique to you, and so whatever comes for you obviously will be more tailored to your excitement than my life would be tailored to your excitement. But if you want to live life like I do in your own way, more as I live it and experience it in your own way, if you want it to be exciting, truly ecstatic, truly explosive, truly joyful, truly magnificent, then you have to change your frequency. You have to stop waiting. You have to stop being indecisive. You have to stop being stagnant. You have to stop being lethargic. Now, this is not opposite acceptance. In fact, you cannot truly accept your life if you do not, at a gut, hardcore level, love your life. Again, the practice of acceptance follows naturally as you keep acting in ways that excite you. When you don't, the only true spiritual practice that gets closest to true acceptance is tolerance, which is, again, what many people teach each other and learn, because that's what it's like to be spiritual, that's what it's like to be Buddhist, that's what it's like to be Zen-like. It's to be docile, to be, what's the word, docile, right? Docile? How do you pronounce that? Docile? Docile? Okay, you get the point. So brain dead, basically, right? The most brain dead people are the most spiritually claimed ones, too. Because they've come to a state of utter tolerance, and then they die of cancer, usually. Because they're not listening to their signs. They're not listening. They're not flowing with life. Right? Can you see that? Either way, what I'm teaching is excitement. It's bliss, it's ecstasy, it's to flow, it's to not wait. It's to be active, it's to be the co-creator you're meant to be. It's to be the one that you are desiring yourself to be from a higher level of consciousness. Call it your higher self, call it the creator itself ultimately. But you are desired to be this open-hearted, crystalline, reflective portion of all that is consciousness, expressing in a unique way, and decisively so, immediately so, directly so, passionately so. There's no sense in living your life without that thrill, without that excitement. So again, for those of you that have these spiritual beliefs, that is just thrill-seeking or adrenaline junkies, and that spirituality is equated to some kind of that state of being a well-trained dog that just sits and tolerates sitting, then that's fine. But I recommend you change your perspective. You consider what life is like. It doesn't make sense when you compare our image of spirituality or that image of spirituality. I'm not saying every one of you has that image of spirituality, but it is quite pervasive still in the spiritual world. So compare that image of the docile, silent, quiet, brain-dead Buddhist monk, with all due respect to Buddhism. I'm not generalizing, I'm just picking specific examples for the purpose of explanation. An example. Imagine that and then compare it to any other life form but the human being. The cosmos. Even the amoeba has a more exciting life than most spiritually advanced human beings. At least it's growing and multiplying and copying itself and expanding and swimming around. And that's just a small portion. But there's so many exciting life forms that are absolutely brilliant, just in their colorations, in their expressions, in their variety, in the way that they play, the way that creatures play, the way that animals play, the way that plants interact with each other, even though it's mostly invisible to us. The way that all of this is working together, the way that the planets spin around these godheads that we call suns, stars, the way that stars rotate around the super godhead that we call the galaxy center, etc. It's just all magnificent and doesn't compare to a brain-dead monk that thinks it's enlightened or tolerates its experiences to a great degree. There's no virtue in tolerating negative experiences.
So I'm tolerating waiting right now to ask a question.
One second. That's good.
There you go.
That's good, but thank you. I appreciate it. Good. Nevertheless, Compare that and see if it really makes sense, if that image of spirituality makes sense to you.